In this podcast episode, Simon Sinek explores a wide range of ideas about optimism, human purpose, leadership, workplace culture, technology, and the emotional challenges of modern life. The conversation delves into how individuals can discover their intrinsic motivations, build meaningful connections, and adapt to a rapidly changing world, all while maintaining hope and the ability to thrive amidst uncertainty. Simon introduces the concept of two types of games, finite and infinite. Finite games have clear rules, known players, and a definite endpoint, such as sports or specific auditions. In contrast, infinite games have no fixed rules or known players and focus on continuing the play as long as possible. Life domains like careers, relationships, and business are examples of infinite games. A finite mindset applied to infinite games leads to declining trust, cooperation, and innovation because it focuses on winning rather than staying in the game. Simon emphasizes the importance of adopting an infinite mindset, especially in complex areas like parenting and work, where competition and comparison can become harmful distractions from the broader journey. Optimism is defined as a firm belief that there is light at the end of the tunnel, not blind positivity or naively ignoring difficulties. It's grounded in awareness of dark and challenging realities, but carries an undying hope for improvement. Simon traces optimism to philosophical and psychological roots, referencing thinkers like Viktor Frankl, who observed that individuals' will to live depends on their internal mindset. Optimism fosters resilience in the face of adversity and encourages proactive engagement with the world. The episode highlights the profound effects of stress on health and longevity, underscoring that stress is a major killer through physiological inflammation and other pathways. Happiness, social connection, and sufficient sleep are more crucial than supplements or strict health regimens for long life. Simon shares a personal example showing how lifestyle factors beyond exercise and diet, especially community and rest, reduce biological aging. He warns against the phenomenon of stress stacking caused by obsessively monitoring health data, which ironically increases stress and harm. Simon contextualizes current rapid technological advancements, including AI, within a historical pattern of innovation disruptions like the internet and electric light bulbs. He advocates for pragmatic balance, recognizing both positive and negative consequences without succumbing to either blind optimism or fear-driven pessimism. There is an urgent need for ethical regulation and governance as technology outpaces legal frameworks, but history shows that societies eventually adapt over time. Trust and cooperation at institutional and interpersonal levels must evolve alongside these changes. Being human is complicated and requires active learning of key social and emotional skills, such as listening, giving and receiving feedback, and managing confrontation. These are not innate capacities, but cultivated competencies necessary for cooperation and well-being in large, diverse societies. Simon traces the evolutionary context of human populations growing beyond small tribes and farming societies, which introduced new social complexities demanding such skills. Teaching and practicing these hard human skills at work and beyond can increase trust, engagement, community, and innovation. Leadership isn't merely a position or a title. It is a continuous lifestyle choice, encompassing responsibility, empathy, and skill building. Effective leadership involves tuning into how different people respond emotionally to feedback and motivation, including gender-based differences in communication and response styles. Simon tells the story of a female military officer whose leadership success came from shifting focus from personal achievement to caring for others, experience which created a more motivated and cooperative team. Leadership requires persistence, adaptability, and generosity rather than a finite win-lose orientation. The workplace has transformed dramatically from eras of loyalty and lifetime employment to a culture dominated by layoffs, fear, and disengagement. Work now is often a primary source of belonging and purpose, creating new pressures for organizations and individuals. Women entering the workforce bring distinct challenges and needs, such as balancing leadership with family responsibilities and navigating different communication dynamics. Leaders must recognize these differences and adapt to support diverse teams compassionately and effectively. Cultures that prioritize human skills and empathy can create stronger, more resilient workplaces. Simon warns against confusing passion with fixed labels or career identities. Passion emerges as an output when someone engages in activities that resonate with their core self, not as something to be discovered instantaneously or rigidly defined. People can express their intrinsic why through multiple, even wildly different, pursuits over their lifetime without losing authenticity. Understanding who am I and recognizing patterns from one's life offer a more sustainable guide than adhering strictly to a particular job title or passion slogan. Changing directions is acceptable and often necessary. Artificial intelligence will disrupt many white-collar and knowledge worker jobs, though manual, creative, and caregiving roles will persist or grow. Simon stresses that the future of work will involve adaptation rather than annihilation, and that concerns about AI's impact mainly affect those focused on metrics and results rather than process and growth. While AI can assist with tasks such as apologizing or composing words, it cannot replace the authentic, messy process of building relationships or developing skills. People must continue doing the work themselves to truly grow and connect. The episode explores how technology, especially social media and AI-driven tools, hijack human attention and dopamine reward systems, fueling loneliness and mental health challenges. Unlike substance addictions where abstinence is a common goal, technology requires users to develop healthy relationships and boundaries because complete avoidance is impossible. Simon and the hosts discuss practical measures like removing phones from the immediate environment to reduce compulsive use and model healthy behavior, especially for children. Regulation, awareness, and mindful usage are critical to mitigating harms. Political and cultural divisions are often exacerbated by labeling the other side as inherently evil, while in reality, all sides believe they act from love, protection, or good intentions. Reconciliation begins with empathy and the difficult work of seeking to understand opposing viewpoints. Citing the example of a documentary filmmaker who engaged white supremacists by listening rather than attacking, Simon highlights how trust and friendship can dismantle hatred and extremism. Peace requires victims to take the first step toward empathy, facilitating an opening for genuine dialogue. Simon reframes failure not as an identity, but as a necessary moment in a transformative journey. His own career hit impasses that forced him to separate his identity from his goals and titles, allowing him to embrace new directions. Recognizing failure enables growth, acceptance, and the adoption of infinite mindsets, prioritizing continual progress over finite wins or losses. This approach applies personally and professionally, encouraging people to view setbacks as part of the process, not a permanent state. For listeners who struggle with pessimism, Simon advises surrounding oneself with optimists, consuming optimistic content, and acknowledging problematic social media influences that reinforce fear and negativity. Pessimism is not condemned, but should be balanced by conscious efforts to view the world as fundamentally good and improving over time. Optimism fosters resilience, creativity, and purpose, even in the most difficult circumstances. Life fulfillment and longevity correlate strongly with connecting to a personal why, a deep internal motivation that transcends paycheck or superficial goals. This connection supports mental, emotional, and physical health outcomes alike. Simon emphasizes that work is often where people now expect meaning and community, reflecting societal shifts where traditional sources like religion and local clubs have diminished. Discovering your why involves exploring patterns from your past, being open to change, and appreciating that your core self remains constant beneath external roles. Although much of Simon's work is rooted in organizational settings, the skills and attitudes he describes translate to all aspects of life, including family, friendships, and community. Deepening relationships through empathy, active listening, and thoughtful feedback builds bonds that nourish well-being and productivity. The podcast briefly touches on friendship building later in life, underscoring the ongoing importance of optimism and human skills for sustaining meaningful connections. Simon Sinek is a global best-selling author, speaker, and consultant known for books such as Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, and The Infinite Game. His podcast, A Bit of Optimism, and his consulting work span corporate, military, and governmental sectors. He encourages people to embrace leadership as a lifestyle, cultivate optimism, practice human skills, and find their personal why amid a changing world. Free resources and further information are available via his website and social media platforms.